The tragic end of the life of the King of England's mysterious tomb make a royal vault. Queen Elizabeth's coffin came to its final resting place at Windsor on Monday. This completed its long journey from Balmoral Castle to Edinburgh, then from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall and Westminster Abbey, and then finally to St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. Thousands of mourners lined the streets to pay their final respects to the Queen, after her funeral earlier in the day. After the pomp and pageantry of the state funeral at Westminster, attended by leaders from across the globe, a more intimate committal service was held at St. George's. The Royal Vault is a sacred burial place for the British Empire. Not just anyone can go in there. This place is a mystery to the majority of British citizens. The cemetery was built by order of King George III from 1804 to 1810. A decade later, King George died, and was also buried in the Royal Vault. Throughout his life, George is remembered for two things, namely losing the United States as a colony and dying after experiencing permanent insanity, according to a statement on the kingdom's official website. However, the British Empire emphasized that this assumption was wrong. According to them, George is not responsible for the loss of the US. He actually opposed the United States' desire for independence. But on the other hand, George did not change the policies that became the root of the problems of the War of 1775-1776. Those policies included the Stamp Act of 1765 and the Townshend Act of 1767. The Townshend Act was created as an effort to increase British income to help pay for the maintenance costs of soldiers and colony officials in North America. Under the rules, Britain imposed indirect taxes on products such as glass, tin, paint, paper and tea, which were exported to the American colonies, the Library of Congress explained. This policy made the colonies in America revolt. They view the law as an abuse of power. George could not do anything because at that time England really needed money, especially in times of war, when the state had no income from taxes. In the 1770s, the British debt that must be paid immediately reached £4 million sterling. It gave George a headache. He felt increasingly threatened when America officially seceded on July 4, 1776. America is lost. Should we fall from this blow? Or do we have resources that can repair the damage? What are those resources? George said in his letter at the time. However, George insisted that Britain should maintain relations with its former colony. It is hoped that we will reap more profits from their trade as friends than we would if we had them as a colony, he said. From 1775 to 1783, the war between America and the British Empire, or the so-called American Revolutionary War, raged. The Americans won and the British troops surrendered. The defeat had an impact on politics and made George even more unruly. Until in 1788-1789, George suffered a serious illness. In 1801, he became permanently insane. Some medical historians say George III's mental instability was due to a hereditary physical disorder called porphyria. George was said to have a mental breakdown and was declared permanently insane in 1810. That year, he buried his daughter, Princess Amelia, who died on the 27th of November. In the last years of his life, both physically and mentally he weakened, until finally blind. Because it is sacred, not just anyone can enter the Royal Vault. The cemetery is under the altar of St. George's Chapel, in the grounds of Windsor Castle. The cemetery is in the form of a dome-shaped passage with a length of 21 meters and a width of 8 meters. Located about 5 meters underground, the Royal Vault is lined with iron gates. The Independent reports that the cemetery can hold 44 crates. A total of 32 coffins were placed on rocky shelves, while another 12 were in the center of the room. So far, the public can only see one access to the Royal Vault, which is in the center of the St. George. On the floor of the chapel, you can see a separate tile. The tiles are rectangular in shape, resembling a coffin. When a member of the British royal family dies, the coffin is placed on top of the tiles. Under the tiles is hidden an elevator that can go up and down, bringing the chest to the Royal Vault room. After George's death, The royal vault is still used as a funeral for the British royal family. Until now, 24 members of the royal family reside in the royal vault with George.